market update that now would be absolutely the best time to lock in your 5-year fixed because bond yields were below 3% and 5-year mortgage rates were at essentially 52-week lows here. So I would highly recommend, if you're looking at buying within the next 120 days, to lock in your 5-year fixed rate. Frank Mortgage is a great option. I'll link it here. So make sure you check that out and lock in and don't leave yourself in the cold. So quick note here, if you do decide to lock in and rates go down, you can get the lower rate, but if they go up, don't worry, you're protected because you're locked in. Okay, now let's talk about interest rates and how the bond market affects the 5-year fixed and how the Bank of Canada's key lending rate affects the variable rate mortgage. All right, so now I'm going to do a quick rundown of how this affects the interest rate market. And to start, I just want to explain what's going on with how a bank operates it. And I'll start with this word that's called a spread here. So a spread is essentially what the difference is between what a bank can get and then the spread is what they want to charge out to customers. So for example, they get a bank rate of 3% from the central bank and they want a 2% spread, they're going to charge 5% to a customer. However, if the bank rate starts dropping and the spread becomes too high, so say for example, they only want a 2% spread, so if they can get it at 3, they're going to offer 5. But if the bank then drops rate to 2.5, they're getting too much spread, and to stay competitive with other banks, they drop their rate, have a lower spread. But the banks are all kind of operating around this similar spread threshold. That's why you see most of these banks moving in tandem. Sure, some will offer always a better rate than others, and some are willing to take a smaller spread than others. But that's really just the competitive landscape of how banks are competing against, competing for your business. Okay, so they're operating on a spread kind of basis here. And there's two types of spreads that the banks really rely upon. The spread on the 5-year variable, which is usually around the 2% mark. And then the fixed rate, on the bond market, it looks like their threshold is around 1.5%. Why do I know this? Because looking at the last little bit of data here, I can see that every time the bank gets to around a 1% spread on a bond market, so for example, the bond's at 3.3%, and they want a 1.5% spread, then they need to be closer to 4.5% interest rate. So here we see the bond yield market went down to 1.4%, interest rates went up. Again, here is another 1% spread, so the spread got too thin. There goes the interest rates up again. On the flip side, when bond yields started dropping and the spread became too big, banks would start competing, or the lenders would start competing against each other. And as you can see here, when we got to 1.7, we dropped the interest rates. Here we're at 1.8%, drop the interest rates. 1.7 again here, drop the interest rates. I know there was more interest rates drops right here at 1.5, but it's because the bond yield just kept falling so fast that they just kept lowering their interest rate quicker and quicker and quicker. So right now we're sitting around a 2.89%, 4.44% mortgage rate is what you can get right now as of today, 4.44, which is the lowest it's been in a very long time. And as you can see, we're hovering around the 1.55% mark here. So this is where I'm going to give you some really good advice, I believe. Right now, the spread is pretty good. I do not foresee the interest rates on the 5-year fixed falling any further unless the banks start getting really competitive and the lenders start getting really competitive with themselves. What I would highly recommend, if you need to buy at all, if you're looking at buying at all in the next 120 days, go ahead, talk to Frank Mortgages, and lock in a 120-day rate hold. The reason you want to lock in a 120-day rate hold at this rate, for example, is because if interest rates fall further, you can still get the lower interest rate product. You're never obligated to the rate hold that you're in. But what it does, it protects you. It guarantees you that rate if interest rates go up. So essentially, you're just hedging against interest rates increasing. So it's the best of both worlds. You put a pre-qualification in, you lock in the rate, rates go down, you get the lower rate. If rates go up, you still get this rate right here. And with the bond yield sitting at 1.55% right now, with the spread sitting around 1.55%, the bond yields have to drop essentially lower than they have been since, well, August, right? And then, and if we're not just getting a precipitous drop in bond yields, I don't expect us to get a much better deal than we have right now. This looks like to be one of the best deals out there. And if you lock in, if it goes down further, you're fine. And if it goes up, well, you're fine again. So hopefully that explains what's going on. As you can see, the 5-year variable, not that attractive. It's 1.1% more than the fixed rate. Unless you feel like the Bank of Canada is just going to start dropping interest rates like crazy, definitely start looking at kind of a 1 to 2 year mortgage product. Slightly higher than the 5-year fix, but then you get the ability to renew your mortgage in 2 years when most economists believe that interest rates will be a lot lower again. So there's definitely lots of options. I know it can sound complex, but hey, I do this every day and so does our team. If you ever need any help around this, just feel free to call us. We'll walk you all through it. We'll connect you with the right financial partner. We'll create a game plan for you and make sure that you're set for success. That's what we're here for.